All right, thanks so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Limnacker, joined today by Joy Quarles, who is the director of 311 for the city of Atlanta. And we also have Anare Holmes, who's a public information officer for Atlanta Fire. Thank you both so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
Glad to be here. Thanks again.
So, you become a regular talking about, fire safety, but we wanted to take the opportunity today to talk about really the differences between emergency and non-emergency calls. And we have this really unique opportunity here in Atlanta to not just contact 911, but to contact 311 at times when maybe that's more appropriate. So when is it more appropriate to contact 311?
So you would call 311 for non-emergency issues, but you can also call 311 for supportive services and human needs issues as well.
So some of the things, you have this amazing outline on your website where you talk about some of the needs that people often will call 911 for, that maybe historically that's what they may have done, but it may not be the right thing these days. Whether it's a mental health issue, it may be a disturbance, maybe public indecency or public nudity, someone who is unhoused. Any of these things, of course, could potentially be emergency situations, but oftentimes people are calling because they're just concerned about something that is going on an ongoing basis, right?
Correct. They want someone to come out and they want to assist the person, but 911 is not the best option for that. We want to relieve 911 of those type of calls, and we'll call 311.
So, for instance, if somebody you maybe in your community you think is mentally unwell, maybe mentally unstable, but it's not an imminent threat of harm, then you call 311.
Correct. So if they see someone, for example, yelling and just making a lot of noise and they're having a mental health episode, they can call 311. We will send the PAD team, which stands for Police and Alternative Diversions, and they will send someone out to check on that person and to see if they need to be taken to like Grady Mobile Crisis Support or a team like that.
But to be clear, if that person is waving a gun around, then maybe that's
Absolutely
when you call 911.
Yes.
Yeah. So, for instance, sometimes we see, individuals maybe eating out of a dumpster, things like that. That's something that we would not call 911 about, but we could contact your department, 311.
Correct. You can contact 311, the supportive services team, and that same team, PAD, will go out and they will assist that person as well.
When it comes to domestic abuse, I know that you guys also offer resources, and I just want to be clear because there are times when, it can be an emergency situation with domestic abuse. Can you just kind of explain when it is appropriate for domestic violence, sufferers, victims, survivors, to call 311 versus 911?
So victims can call 311, the supportive services team again, and we work with an organization called AVLF, which stands for Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation, and they will help to get documents for protection, order protection, housing, victim assistance, mental health. They'll counseling. They'll help with all kinds of facets with that.
And probably even help with getting you to a shelter if that's what
Absolutely.
you need. Okay. But obviously, if you feel that your life is in danger, you need to call 911.
Yes.
Yeah. When we talk about other disturbances, maybe somebody acting, I hate to use the term suspicious, but sometimes those are the calls that you get, whether it's 911 or 311, that a person is displaying suspicious behavior. What kind of situation is it appropriate to call you 311 versus call 911?
It all depends on the suspicious behavior. If it's more of a mental health suspicious behavior, they can definitely call us. But if it's more of they're thinking that they're going to harm someone, then that's more of a 911.
So it's really important that you want to reserve 911 for only immediate danger, like somebody's got to get here right now, then you call 911.
Correct. Absolutely.
But why has it been so important to have 311 in terms of allowing emergency responders to focus on emergencies?
Because you don't want to tie up the emergency line. You will have people calling the emergency line for my trash didn't get picked up today. And you will have trash not being picked up, it's graffiti on the wall. That is not an emergency where a police officer needs to go on scene.
Wow, so you get those kind of calls.
And I will say, even because it's raining right now, even when you see like down branches or you see things that are for the Department of Public Works to get to, if it's not just an immediate threat to the route, call 311, I'm sorry, for those things. When you see like a broken tree hanging in your thoroughfare or something like that.
Okay, yeah, of course. I think that makes perfect sense, but I'm just shocked that you're telling me you get 911 calls about things like that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
911 received calls for my water just got cut off and I didn't pay the bill. Can I pay my bill? And that
Really?
should come to 311.
But also, 911 might not even be able to help you with
They're
situations
not.
like
They're going
that.
to transfer that call to 311.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And because some of these issues, like when we're talking about, mental health issues that are not emergency, you're going to need help from a counselor, and that's the sort of thing that 311 is equipped to deal with,
Correct.
whereas 911 is not. Anything else that you want to highlight in terms of 311 versus 911?
311, like I said, we try to make it a one-stop shop for a city department. So we take all the calls for public works, watershed, municipal court, code enforcement, but also the supportive services team. A lot of programs that we have for housing. Someone is about to get evicted. We help with the Housing Help Center. We just started a new program called HOPA, which assists housing assistance for people with AIDS. And that can go for we take calls for everybody in the Metro Atlanta, not just City of Atlanta.
And I understand it's such a unique program that you actually go to other regions and talk about how to develop this kind of program.
Absolutely. We're the first of its kind in the country. And so a lot of different states come to us to say, well, how did you do it? Even counties. I know I spoke with Cobb County recently, and they want to know, how did you start this program and what do you do to use this program?
Yeah,
And let them know about how they can do it online, on their phone.
Yes. So a lot of the, we have a mobile app and we also have a website. And you just go to atl301.com and you can just click on my trash didn't get picked up today, or I need to schedule a bulk. And then they can actually do that instead of having to call in. We're also on every social media handle as well. You can even send an email in. So you don't even just have to call 301. You could do several other channels as well.
Yeah, that's good to know. Okay, so now I want to shift focus and let's talk about your expertise, which is fire safety. And this is the time of year when a lot of people are starting to turn on the space heaters, and it's those swings in temperatures. But I mean, you get a lot of calls when things go wrong involving space heaters, right?
Yes, the main thing that I always advise people, anyone using a space heater, make sure you follow the directions and that you have it plugged into the actual wall outlet and not to an extension cord.
Why is that so important?
It is important because sometimes when you look at the load of your electrical load, if you put it into a extension cord that's coming in, it may not have the capacity for it, and it can cause a problem. And if you have blankets around and you have things on top or in the area, that just makes it for a bad recipe, because some people like to put that space heater right up on them, and like I said, they have covers, they have all of these things. We recommend that space heater is a good amount of distance from you. And depending on what type of space heater, that's why it's important to follow the directions, because it'll let you know if it's a 6 feet distance, if it's 24 inches or something like that. Always make sure that you don't leave it unattended. If you're going to be in the room, make sure and you have it on, but when you leave, always shut it off.
And what about people sleeping? Because a lot of people will turn on their space heater at night because they're cold and they fall asleep like that. That makes me nervous. Is that a safe thing to do? Because you're already unconscious if a fire starts.
Well, like I said, if you know that I recommend some heaters have timers, and you can adjust it to what you need. If you don't have a timer, I recommend you use your phone, and you have that as a clue to just give you a little cushion, so that you set maybe a 15-minute or a 45-minute window. That should give you enough space or enough time to warm up. And then by that time that goes off, you can just click it off and be on your way to have a good rest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Any other advice as we get into the colder months here about, fire safety, things that maybe people need to keep in mind?
We really recommend, some people have used kerosene heaters, propane heaters. You've got to be really, really careful, because some of those heaters are not meant to be indoors. They're meant to kind of do spaces that are maybe covered, like if you have something on your patio, you're having a party and you have it like that. But we've noticed some people are putting those things inside the home. That's a big no-no. Another thing, sometimes people are strapped for cash. Sometimes people open up the oven and use the oven as a source of heat. And that can run into problems because you may have little kids, you know.
Stick their fingers in there.
Exactly, exactly. You have to be really, really careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Anare Holmes, a public information officer for the Atlanta Fire Department, and Joy Quarles, the director of 311. Thank you both so much for being with us, and thank you for joining us on Atlanta News First Plus.
Thank you.
Thank you.